Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian lad, and today I've watched Loki episode 5 at 0.25x speed and found some amazing new details. I'll be breaking down scene by scene, and if there's an Easter egg or a detail that I found in slow motion, I'll explain that too. Now lads, I know I'm late with this video, but if you have seen my community post, you'll know that I'm going through some very tough time in my family. It might even take months before I recover, but YouTube is what I do for a living, so I gotta do what I do so I can support my family. Having said that, please spare me exactly 50 seconds to thank today's sponsor, Darkfire Heroes. Darkfire Heroes is a colorful team battle RPG from the makers of Angry Birds. With events added monthly and really fun gameplay, you're sure to keep entertained. Assemble a team of 5 heroes to battle in real time against evil hordes. I really like the challenge of strategizing which heroes and spells to select for different challenges. There are over 50 epic heroes to collect which you can level up along the way, and each hero has their own unique special attack that deals extra damage. Whether you join a guild, participate in tournaments, or farm the campaign, there's an adventure awaiting. Now, I would consider myself a collector while playing this game, but if you are more competitive than me, you can battle other players from around the world in the arena and compete against friends or other clans on the leaderboards. You also get rewarded throughout the game after completing certain challenges. There's just something so satisfying about opening a chest filled with treasure. If you lads want to try out Darkfire Heroes for yourself, click on my link in the description. Who knows, we may even end up battling each other. So this episode opens with a close-up shot of this monitor. Here we can see Oak Island, Nova Scotia. Now in real life, it's believed that treasure is hidden there, like Captain Kidd's missing fortune, the Ark of the Covenant, and more. We also see Vormir, which keeps popping up very frequently in the show. The camera keeps rotating while we go from the TVA to the Void. Now the Void is like a place out of time. When the TVA prunes something or someone, they actually don't reset anything. Instead, they transfer all variants over here in the Void. So this is like a trash can where you throw all your trash. And it makes sense though, because according to the law of conservation of mass, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. And notice one of the first things we see in the Void is the New York Sanctum Sanctorum. Now I think the reason this was pruned here was because Doctor Strange in that specific timeline might have turned evil or wasn't successful in defending the Sanctum. Now as we pass by the broken Avengers Tower, we can see it says Kang. In the comics, Kang Enterprises bought the tower from Tony Stark in 2015's all-new, all-different Avengers #1. Now the CEO of Kang was Mr. Griffon, who was eventually revealed to be one of many identities of Kang the Conqueror. And just beside that, we can see Ken Perk 2018. Now we know Jonathan Majors is playing Kang the Conqueror in the upcoming Ant-Man sequel, and now we have 2 direct references to Kang the Conqueror, so it's pretty safe to say Marvel is laying the groundwork for his arrival. Who knows, maybe in the final episode itself. We see the Loki variant surrounding our Loki, and notice the way Loki stands up. This shot was shown in the trailer, but with different backgrounds, and all the other Lokis were removed. We meet one of our new villains, Alioth. Alioth is a supreme time being. He's the first being who broke free from the constraints of time. His empire is larger than that of Kang himself. It is because of Alioth that Kang never attempted to expand his empire vertically into more distant time eras, and therefore extends only as far as back as 20,000 BC. Alioth is what ensures that nobody escapes from the Void. Now over at the TVA, Sylvie learns about the Void, and how nobody ever dies when they get pruned. She also learns that Renslayer is on the same mission as she is. She too wants to find out who's really behind the curtains, or maybe she knows it already but she wants to meet him in person. Kid Loki then reveals his Nexus event.
I killed Thor.
Now we get tons of Easter eggs and comic book references in the Void, and because of slow motion I managed to notice a lot, so let's point them out. First, we see this giant helmet of Ant-Man villain Yellow Jacket. The last time we saw him was when he shrunk down and disappeared in the quantum realm. Now the fact that this helmet is so massive might imply that in an alternate timeline, he also may have achieved a similar size like Ant-Man did in Civil War. And then comes one of the funniest Easter eggs, the Thanos Copter, which is a direct reference to the comics. And if you watched my Endgame breakdown, I explained how Thanos' double-edged sword was also a reference to Thanos Copter. The Lokis then enter this hatch that has some text on it written in Hindi, which might indicate this may be an Indian military facility. Now as the camera pans down and we get inside the hatch, we get a few more Easter eggs. Notice all these lunch trays and silverware that we've seen already at the TVA. So whenever the TVA was done with their lunch, instead of putting them on the dishwasher, they just simply pruned it. We even get to see a version of Mjolnir. But notice this Thor frog in a jar with the label that says T365, a nod to Thor issue number 365 from 1966, which featured Loki transforming Thor into a frog. So this is our very first look at a Thor variant, and even the way this Thor frog was screaming, this resembles Thor himself from Avengers 1. Now inside the hatch, we find out it's a bowling alley. And notice how Alligator Loki smoothly slides down in the background. Now notice Miss Minutes is so advanced, she even recognizes facial movements and gestures. She was stalling for time by lying to Sylvie to save Renslayer's life. Sylvie then prunes herself because that's the only way she can make it to the void. Notice even though this surprises all the TVA soldiers, but Renslayer wasn't surprised, because unlike her, the TVA soldiers believe getting pruned means you're reset forever. Cut to the void where boastful Loki tells his Nexus event.
So, after I vanquished Captain America and Iron Man, I claimed my prize.
Notice when boastful Loki said he vanquished Captain America, Loki didn't react. But when boastful Loki said he also vanquished Iron Man, that's when Loki reacts like this. This is because this Loki just lost to the Avengers, mostly because of Iron Man, so he fears Iron Man the most. We learn classic Loki story as well, which is basically a fan theory from Reddit that Marvel turned into reality. Now a couple of Easter eggs inside the bowling alley, this Polybius arcade box which mysteriously disappeared after it was reported that players were having nightmares and hallucinations. Legend has it that the government used Polybius arcade boxes to collect data. We then see this book just beside Alligator Loki, which is The Mystery and Lore of Monsters by C.J.S. Thompson. It's a book that talks about several monsters and how they originated in real life. And the drink they're all having is Roxy wine, which of course is a reference to Roxxon, or Roxxcard in this case, as we've seen in episode 2. But we see Kid Loki drinking Hi-C Cooler. This is the third drink we're seeing in the show that was discontinued in real life. We've seen Mobius drinking Josta, Casey drinking Boku, and now Kid Loki having a Hi-C Cooler. Cut to Sylvie, who just got dumped in the void after she self-pruned herself. She touches Alliath for a second and gets a glimpse of what's really behind the curtains. We see the castle that we'll later get a better view of after Sylvie enchants Alliath. Basically, this scene is when Sylvie realizes she's capable of enchanting Alliath, or the fact that Alliath is enchantable. Mobius then arrives in a pizza delivery car and rescues Sylvie. Now inside the car, there's a hula girl on the dashboard. Something we've seen already in WandaVision. Is this Marvel connecting the dots somehow? Let me know your thoughts. And notice there's a theater marquee for the Wrightsville Theater. Now Wrightsville was also shown on a TVA monitor in episode 4. Then we meet President Loki for the first time in the MCU. Now in the background, they're all Loki variants as well. For example, this variant who uses his hair as his horns, we've seen him already in episode 2. A fight takes place and it becomes a complete chaos over here. Alligator Loki bites off President Loki's hand, and it's a great continuity to what Kevin Feige has been doing since he's a massive fan of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. In all MCU phases, Feige made sure there's at least one character who loses his hand. Classic Loki then casts another projection that fools everybody. Notice in the projection, Kid Loki unleashes Alligator Loki onto President Loki. So even during the projection, President Loki kept fighting a fake alligator. Classic Loki and Kid Loki then decide to help our Loki reach Alliath. And over here, Sylvie and Mobius also plan on doing the same. So both of them are trying to get to Alliath in order to figure out who's behind all of this. They all finally meet and make a plan of enchanting Alliath. Sylvie believes whoever is behind the curtains is just using Alliath as a guard dog. So if you get past it, you're there. Cut to the time theater where Hunter B-15 is locked in. She realizes Renslayer isn't here to protect the timekeepers. Renslayer then commands Miss Minutes to give her all the information on whoever created the TVA. So it's pretty safe to say Renslayer isn't as bad as we thought she was. She too is desperate to find out the truth. Cut to Loki and Sylvie, who have a very intimate moment. And because Sylvie can't express her feelings, so she says to Loki, Mobius cares about you.
He cares about you.
This is basically her saying, I care about you. And Loki perfectly reads between the lines, and guess what he does next? He pretends to feel cold and conjures a blanket. Well, you know, to get more closer to Sylvie. Now the reason we know he's pretending is because he's a frost giant, for God's sake. I mean, how can he feel cold? So I really love the fact that Loki would go out of his way to earn someone's trust. Honestly, this might be the best scene in this episode. Both of their characters grew so much just through this one scene. They let go of their past and embraced the future. A future where they both plan on staying together. This is not something usual for a Loki. So what makes a Loki isn't exactly what makes them a Loki. I know it's kinda hard to follow, but you know what I mean. We then see the Dark Esther, aka Ronan's ship from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And when Alliath was approaching Sylvie and Loki, you can clearly see the giant statue of the Living Tribunal's head. In the comics, the Living Tribunal's purpose is to keep balance in the multiverse. Then Mobius decides to get back to the TVA. So Loki asks him what will he do once he gets there. Mobius says this.
What will you do at the TVA? Burn it to the ground!
This is exactly what Loki said back when he was captured by the TVA.
I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
I'll show you where my desk is. You can start there.
It all comes a circle, eh? And notice when classic Loki decides to stick around and help them, behind him we can see the helicarrier from Captain America the Winter Soldier. But notice instead of the Shield's logo, it has the Hydra logo. So this is from a timeline where Captain America failed to stop Hydra. Loki then decides to cause a distraction so that Sylvie can enchant Alith. But Alith goes after Sylvie anyway, realizing she's a bigger threat. And then comes one of the greatest moments in the MCU. Classic Loki shows just how powerful he is by casting a projection so big that he literally recreated the entire Asgard through his spell. He didn't just project the building or the bridge. His spell was so strong it projected the entire Asgard in front of Alith. So while classic Loki distracts Alith, Loki and Sylvie over here team up to enchant Alith. Loki says he doesn't know how to enchant someone, but Sylvie says you do, because we're all the same. Alith then finally kills classic Loki, who couldn't hold on anymore. But notice just before he died, his cape already started to disintegrate. So even when Alith was at a distance, it was still affecting classic Loki. This indicates how powerful Alith is. Loki and Sylvie then finally enchant Alith, and we see the castle again that Sylvie had already got a glimpse of. Now I'm losing my mind thinking this mysterious city might be Chronopolis, which is the home to Kang the Conqueror in the comics, and that would be massive. And no, I have no clue why Kid Loki is carrying a toaster in his backpack. And that's it. This would be my breakdown of Loki episode 5. Coming up next is my breakdown of episode 6. I know I was extremely late with this video, but hopefully for the next one, I'll be on time inshallah. And please pray for me so that I can at least focus on my work. I know my family comes first, and they always will, but the situation that I'm in, boy, I wish I could tell you. Anyway, if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up, grab the subscribe button, and turn notifications on. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get updates about my videos. Till then, I'll see you lads in the next one.
A conqueror